What is up, everyone? How's it going? Jeff Erickson here, co-host of the Erickson Brothers Podcast, coming to you on a early Friday morning in sunny San Diego. Matt, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. It's Friday afternoon. We're kicking it.
We're kicking it. See, it's not Friday afternoon for me. It's still just getting started. That's crazy. It's crazy. You're basically done for the whole week, and
Well,
uh,
not really, but this is a nice break.
all right. It is a nice
Yeah.
break. And you're mixing up the backgrounds too. You got like you got the Iron Man setup, the Tony Stark setup with the multiple monitors and everything going on in the background.
Yeah, I rotated the chair, so this is what I usually look at behind me, but now I'm looking the other way. So,
Are you more productive when you stay at home or when you go to the office? What would you say?
I don't know. I think the productivity depends on the work that needs to get done. Um, so I think I definitely like the office more, but on days like on Fridays, for example, it's nice to be at home and relax a little bit, um, but still get the work done.
Hmm. Do you feel like it's easier to work when you know other people are around you working?
Yeah, for sure. But most of my team works from home 2 days a week already, so you can always tell if somebody's working or not based on their Microsoft Teams bubble. If they're working, it's green, and if they're not working, it's yellow. So you can always tell if somebody's doing something or not.
Dude,
And
that's like an HR hack.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can manually set it to whatever you want, but like so you're not always convinced if somebody's working if their light is green, but you do know if they're away, they are away from their computer. Um, so it's yeah, yeah, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I always feel like
Mhm.
when I go into the office and I like hear other people on phone calls, I'm like, man, I gotta make more phone calls myself, or I got to start doing stuff. And whenever I work from home, I don't know. Like, I think what I'm doing is being productive, but like, I never have a frame of reference to know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that other people are working at 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock at night if I'm not hearing other people on meetings. So it
Mhm.
kind of almost like normalizes working later hours when I come to the office because I see other people working later hours.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. I think that it's sometimes a good moral bump when people are in it there with you, but then it's also nice to just uh get your work done and then be done instead of like playing playing the game of am I staying late enough or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's both are good. So I
Yeah.
think Fridays it's nice to like to look forward to this like sleep a little bit longer in the morning because you don't have to get ready and go to the office and there's definitely some perks, but I wouldn't want to do it more than once a week.
Alex Ramosi was talking about on his podcast today. He says he has like a rule with the people he works with or like with the people that he coaches, and he always says work till close. And what that means is like work until the job gets done. And if the job gets done at noon, you're good. But if it
Yeah.
takes you from 5 a.m. to midnight to finish it, then you go 5 a.m. to midnight. But like you work till close. Like until you get whatever you need to get done, you're good. And I like that mindset because it's solely based on results.
Yep. Yeah. It is. Yeah. You don't stop. I've said this too. You don't stop when you're tired. You stop when you're done. Um,
I know Google has a policy that they have unlimited PTO. Have you heard about this?
yeah. A lot of companies do.
Does your company?
No.
But so the concept for unlimited PTO is like you can work if you want to work and you can not work if you don't want to work. But like if you're not being productive and you're not contributing to the team and you're not getting what you need to get done, then you're going to get fired. But at the same time, if you are checking all those boxes, then like, and if it takes you 20 hours to do that, or if it takes you 80 hours to do that, you're responsible to carry your own weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting. It's a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of tech companies have that policy, but we've also seen tech companies start to lay people off. And I think that they might be realizing that if you give a lot of people that slack, then they might take advantage of it. So,
Mhm.
uh, but
Yeah, interesting.
mhm,
All
mhm.
right, jumping into one topic I've been thinking about recently. Um, so Kayla and I are doing some marriage counseling stuff and like premarital counseling stuff. And we got challenged by the pastor that's helping us out to watch this sermon that Tim Keller gave. Are you familiar with Tim Keller?
Yeah, New
Yeah.
York City
So
pastor,
yeah, New York City pastor for a Presbyterian church. Um, I think it's called First Pres New York City. I think something like that. Yeah.
Redeemer.
Oh, it's called Redeemer. Okay. Awesome. 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 So it's called Redeemer in New York City. Um, and we were listening to the sermon and he was talking about relationships and he's talking about marriage. And one interesting thing that he came up with or he was arguing is that you are never you never find you never find a person that's compatible with you. And I was interested by that because
Okay.
he's like you either you don't know them enough and you get married, or the more you find out about them, the more they're going to grow into somebody different. And he said,
Hmm.
you're never going to find somebody that's compatible with you. And it's okay that there's always going to be like a tension, or it's okay that there's always going to be like things that, you disagree on and whatnot. And that was weird to me because I was like, I feel like marriage is designed for compatibility and it's designed for people to, be in alignment with their values and, where they're going and, their beliefs and whatnot. So I guess I'm curious, like, do you think compatibility and like coming from two people who aren't married, but do you think compatibility is possible or what are your kind of viewpoints on that subject?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Compatibility doesn't mean there's no tension. And I think as you get to know somebody more, you could find out that they are more compatible to you. Um, Not less. And maybe he's defining compatibility as maybe just lack of tension, lack of hard conversations, just smooth sailing while ignoring the reality. That might be what he's defining as compatibility. But yeah, I think that as humans, we are compatible with other people. Like God's design for marriage is man and a woman, like them to be like compatible with each other, and like, complementary to each other, not the same, but two complementary people. Um, so I think that Mark's definition of compatibility might he might be defining it differently
Mm,
than conventionally. But yeah, I think that humans are definitely like able to be compatible with like their significant others.
yeah. Yeah, it
Mhm.
just made me think because I was like, in my opinion, at least as I see marriage from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, like you should be compatible. You should be in 100% alignment with like he was also talking about like, oh, it's okay if you get married to someone who doesn't share your same. He was arguing the point of someone saying like it's okay to get married to someone who doesn't share your same faith because you can love them despite their faith. But like the very fact that if you don't share the same faith, you're looking at the world differently and you're looking at the beliefs differently and you're looking at everything differently because you don't share the same faith, like throws everything off. And I thought that was another interesting point that he made as well.
So wait, so Mark said that you don't need to marry
But
somebody who,
This was Tim Keller.
oh, Tim Keller said
Yeah,
that you
both
don't.
Tim Keller said both of these things.
Oh, oh. Um, and so Tim Keller also said that you don't need to what?
Well,
You
he
don't need
said
to.
there's an argument of like, oh, it's okay if you marry someone that has a different faith than you if you still love them. And he goes, actually, like, you definitely shouldn't marry someone if you guys share different faiths because you view
Oh
the
yeah,
world
Tim Keller said that.
right. He's like, you view the
Yeah.
world differently and you have
Yes.
different, standpoints and beliefs on how you actually go about raising your kids and whatnot. He's like, you should definitely marry someone that has the same faith as you because like it's, foundational to how you see things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in the secular world, like people hold their political values very closely to them, and
Mm.
they might say, "Oh, I'll never marry a Republican or I'll never marry a Democrat." Like, how could somebody possibly think X, Y, and Z and like vote for this A, B, and C, right? How could that ever be? So I think uh that is interesting. But I think that how like religion and faith is very different than politics is because like in faith and religion we're putting our trust into the same God and the same beliefs, and in politics, like as Christians we're not putting our full faith and trust into a person or a certain political party, but for people who don't have that belief in God, you might say like, oh yeah, like whoever's president or the head of my uh, Republican or Democratic Party, like they're going to be the person that I need to align myself with, or um, my partner needs to align themselves with, because like that's their moral standpoint, right? Um, but at the end of the day, these people that are in politics, like they're also human. They also uh, like sin and like politicians these days, like they're getting accused of all sorts of stuff, like hush money or going to China on various visits or whatever, right? So,
Yeah.
no, like there's no use putting your trust into a politician. They're human too. Um, and I would hope that you're not. I would hope people aren't blindly aligning themselves to a person because of a certain party. I think it takes like I, in my opinion, you should be like a critical um, voter, and as an American, we have a duty to vote for like the best person. And I think the best person to lead the country or lead the city, state, or whatever it is. And for me, that's not automatically a party. And like maybe it certainly like aligns that self more oftentimes than not, but we can't just blindly sign up for something if we don't know the person, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, so anyway, that's just what I've been thinking about a lot more as of late is different things with like, having same beliefs and compatibility and all of that. And yeah, it was something on my mind and definitely something I know because like this podcast is about how our views change over time. It's definitely, I think, my viewpoint on marriage and relationships and especially, even aligning yourself with political leadership and whatnot. I think that's something that our viewpoints will change over time. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, or yeah, maybe or maybe not too. I think
Maybe,
that's
maybe, yeah, I don't know.
hmm
Yeah. But
But
anyway, I know you're mentioning a lot of different books that you're reading, that you're finishing, that you're starting. What's one of the books that you like, and what's kind of one of the perspectives that you're learning, or one new thing that has shaped the way you look at either money or investments or private
mm-hmm,
equity or business or
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm reading I've got a few different books on Romans that I'm reading right now. And uh going through that with the Bible study, and then I've got a personal devotion also going through Romans and just diving really deep into what Paul is saying in his letter. So like I would say like my like people joked about over the I think it was the spring or the summer, like what's your Roman Empire? Like right now the book of Romans is my Roman Empire. Um
meaning
it
like
just
for people who don't know what that reference is, clarify what you mean by what is your Roman Empire?
Well, I think for some reason the female species did not realize that men think about the Roman Empire all the time. Like
Yeah.
most, I think most men do. And it's just kind of like a reoccurring thought of like thinking about the Roman Empire. Like
Yeah, I
I,
literally watched 300 Sparta last weekend and I'm so fired up. I'm like, these guys are the coolest people ever.
well, that would be Spartans, not Romans.
But still,
But
I just like
yeah,
it's like old, like fighting, like conquering people, like, taking
yeah,
territory. Like I love that kind of stuff.
yeah. So like I think like girls were going around asking guys like how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And then guys were saying like I don't know, like 5 to 6 times a week or I don't know, once a day. And like for me it's like yeah, it probably is like a few times a week where like something about the Roman Empire will pop into my head, whether it's their like the design and technicality of like their their roads, and just how like interesting that was and how they like over the Roman Empire they went from like a um polytheistic empire to a monotheistic empire, like these huge changes that like span across history, as being these marking points. And uh so yeah, anyway, the right now the what's just like popping into my head from time to time is the book of Romans, which Paul in his ministry he wrote to the Church of Rome, um, and just addressing like some of these things, some of the congregation of the Church of Rome and what he's been saying. So it's just really interesting to read that. I've also been reading. Um, I just finished this book called Buy Then Build, which is about acquisition entrepreneurship, specifically within like for small businesses that um, are maybe not generating positive EBITDA yet, but they've got like positive revenue or just these very small businesses that private equity firms or institutions don't take a look at because the it doesn't work for their return model and it's just too small to put the work in, but that leaves a, a big white space for individuals, and maybe even like groups of individuals, to come together and start buying these small businesses. And the book talked about the entire process and working with lawyers and um, the diligence process and how to work with the seller and what you should be looking at and developing a target statement of the types of businesses you should be looking at. Uh, so very, very interesting. And
Do
just kind of,
you do you eventually want to get into private equity where you buy and build?
yeah, I think so. There's a few different models in like there's different private equity models. Like the most one of the most common ones is this buy then build model where you have the business and are trying to build it through potentially. expanding into different geographies or different customer bases or with new products or with the or with increasingly selling like higher margin products. Um, so all the building the business aspect. So this book just put it into really good terms of making it like an actionable thing that people could do and not this thing that's only reserved for like the ultra wealthy or the private equity firms or corporations of the world. So yeah, ultimately, yes, I do want to be getting
Your audio cut out.
drives me towards it is the ability to make decisions and see if you're right or wrong, right? Like that, and those decisions will your decisions will be reflected in how well the company does. And it might not be something that you see the result of overnight or in a few weeks or months or maybe even a year, but it's decisions you make that have lasting impacts that you can see growth over 3 to 5 years or even longer.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, all this is it's very interesting, and I think that like it kind of goes with like the Christian heart posture of like deferred or delayed gratification and just constantly like working and building towards something, and you might not be able to see progress in your own life if you're working and building in your faith. You might not be able to see progress over a few weeks, months, or a year, but maybe after 2 years or 3 years or decades even, you might be able to see like, wow, these decisions that I made, whether they're small incremental decisions or um, large decisions a while ago that you didn't realize had a big impact, really had a big impact over your life. So just wanting to do that on a professional scale. Um, so,
Cool. Cool.
uh-huh.
Well,
Hmm.
I think learning from somebody that is already doing it and having them train you f for free would be
Yeah,
fun.
or at least training me for like $25.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
maybe they even pay you to learn. That'd be cool too.
right. Yeah, yeah, that's what a job is. So I, yeah,
I'm,
exactly. I mean, that's what I'm doing now is just getting paid to learn. So just trying to learn as much as I can about um, how businesses work, pretty much. So one thing,
yeah.
one thing that's hopefully I can explain this to you in an interesting way, but I think it kind of goes along with our podcast. Um, so within like throughout the year for a company, they generate cash flow, right? And there's a metric in order to calculate cash flow, you calculate your um or yeah, you in order to increase your cash flow, you can either two of the things you can do is you can pay your suppliers and vendors over a longer period of time, and you can have your customers pay you over a shorter period of time. Does
Yep.
that make sense?
It does.
So so if your customers are paying you a week to 2 weeks after you make a sale, and you only need to pay your vendors and suppliers 2 to 3 months after you buy from them, that's going to really increase your cash flow. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Cool. I'm tracking.
So so that's something that most companies are working on is like, how do I delay making payments towards people, and how do I increase the rate at which people are paying me? Um, and it's just like this like common thing that you're trying to decrease your what it's called is you're decreasing your net working capital, like you're decreasing your inventory that you have on your books and just trying to become a more efficient business.
Well, from a personal finance standpoint too, I think that's exactly what you should do. I think you should make it. I think you should create friction around spending money, and I think you should create like lubrication around making money. For example, one thing I've done in my life, like that's a tangible example, is I don't have any credit card saved to any website anywhere, like even Amazon, even Apple.
Mm,
Like I make it really, really hard to spend money because I have to
mm,
physically punch in the numbers and it takes me longer to spend money. And what I've learned is I want to create as much friction as possible around money going out of my bank
mm,
account. So same kind of concept in the fact that you want to delay spending, right? I just
uh-huh,
look at it like I want to create as much friction when it comes to spending money. And then when it comes to making money, I want to do everything I can to increase my, income producing activities and increase money going into my pocket, which
hmm.
is, longer out conversation. But that's how I've kind of used that, but on a personal finance level.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. I think aligning, yeah, just putting up barriers to spending money. Um, and that's uh it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if punching in those numbers actually leads you to buying less things or it's just taking more time and it's less efficient, right?
Yeah,
Like
and it might be.
if you go on Amazon and you need to buy protein shakes or a book, like are you not going to buy the protein shakes because you now need to punch in the money? Like,
Mhm. And
right.
I don't know, like hopefully the delay in spending doesn't, decrease positive habits that are associated with, buying good things.
Right. Right.
Which I don't think it will. I just think it's, the whole point of it is to just slow down money going out, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, and if possible, the subscriptions that I have, I I want to renew this. I want to go onto the website and like make it like renew the subscription every single month, like myself, because then I'm like, all right, over this month, did I get value from this subscription? Did I get value from Apple Music or from Netflix or, from I have
Yeah.
different softwares that help me out with my business. Like, am I getting value from this? Yes or no? Okay, cool. Like, let me punch in my card again. So it's like, I don't know, I've just been more intentional about creating the systems for money to flow in and flow out.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's good. Um So to continue with my example, right? Like
Yeah.
this is something that like companies do. So as a part of my job, we were looking at um, this vegetable company. Um, and it's a meat or it's a fruit and vegetable company. And they, um, the company buys uh, fruits and vegetables from farmers, um, and then pretty much processes them and packages them ready to be sold to retailers, grocery stores, schools, uh, restaurants, etc. Um, but what this company did um, was that they started to employ this model of not paying, delaying people, paying people as long as possible, and starting to get paid as quickly as possible. But when you're in the fruit and vegetables business, right? If you're not paying the people, if you're not paying farmers and you're not paying suppliers, over time, they will give you not as good quality food, not
Yeah,
as good quality
you're the
vegetables.
last person to get the tomato
Right, because
or
like
whatever.
we'll still give them like I think the farmer thinks of it as like okay we can still fulfill our order and give them X amount of pounds of apples, but they're not going to pay us for 3 months, so we're going to give them like not the best apples, right? Well, and
Yeah,
maybe it's the smaller apples that are
tough,
um it's
whatever.
probably the small and now that I think about it, it's probably like we're going to give them the smaller apples because they're less efficient. You can't there's not as much like fruit that you can bite into for the weight because like the rind and the corn takes up a bigger
All right.
percentage of the apple. And I don't know if that's what it is specifically, but makes sense, right? Um So over time, this company was getting worse and worse vegetables and fruit, and their customers start to take notice, and they're like, "We don't want to do business with you anymore because the stuff that you're giving us is just not as good."
The quality, yeah.
Um, and it's just like so interesting that you have this fundamental principle in finance in order to increase your cash flow and decrease your net working capital that most people usually think of as a really good business practice. Um, but for this case, it wasn't, right? And like my lesson from me now is that like my personal lesson is like we still need to treat people the right way, right? Like it's it's not the best thing to delay some paying somebody. It's not the best thing to delay on like a deliverable or replying to an email. Like, right, it might make your metrics look better. It might increase your cash flow in the short term, but is this the best thing for the company? Is this the best thing for you? Um, and it's like I don't know if it goes into like integrity or um, just being honest, but just like, hey, we owe you something, we'll pay it to you. Like, we're not gonna play this game where we're gonna wait a few months to pay you. And it's just like a good lesson that you treat the people right who are involved in your life, and you treat the companies and the people right that are involved in your business too. So it's like
That's good.
it's uh it's very interesting to think about because what might be like the conventional thinking is actually not the right thing to do in this circumstance.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's interesting hearing because like strictly hearing about the philosophy to increase cash flows and decrease spending, it seems bulletproof to me. I was like, man, that like it seems like it would work in every single scenario, but it's interesting hearing about cases where, because you are dealing with real people and you're not paying them and they're not getting paid, they're not going to value you as high. And that like,
Hmm.
the domino effect of that could lead to shorter cash flows in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, and with this instance, the private equity company that owned this company and employed this strategy ended up um, they ended up pretty much selling the company at a huge discount to what they bought it at. It lost a ton of
Whoa,
money.
whoa.
Um, and it was just a failure for them.
And now is your company coming in and recouping at a pennies on the dollar?
Well, I don't work for a private equity firm. I work for um, the banks that provide the
Yeah.
financing for the private equity firm. But in our like diligence, we're asking like, okay, this company like struggled for a few years. Why did it do that? And just learning about this strategy that the other owners did at this time 4 or 5 years ago really hurt it. And for the past year and a half or so, the company's done really well. So we're like, what's going on? Is the business hasn't changed, like, but like what's led to all this growth? And that was a part of it, not the only thing, but a part of it.
Legit.
So yeah.
Legit. No, that's fascinating. I like that. That's cool.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought it was super interesting. Um,
Yeah,
so
I think business in general is really fascinating. I like strategies that have made businesses money and then strategies that people have thought would make businesses money that don't make businesses money.
yeah, yeah. So
Cool.
hmm hmm
Cool. Well, I don't know, transitioning here, do we any fun plans for the weekend? Any fun stuff going on as Friday day, looking towards the next
uh
couple?
few things in the next 36 hours. I guess 48. Uh, I've got an acupuncture appointment this this evening, going to a comedy show tonight, running 22 miles tomorrow morning.
Oh shit. 22?
Yeah.
Where are you running?
Um, uh, Pretty much around the island of Manhattan and maybe into another borough.
How far is it? Circumference.
Uh, my like little downtown loop that I've done is like close to 16 or 17, which is pretty much around the bottom of the entire island and then up to the bottom of Central Park. So if you run that perimeter, it's around 16 to 17. So I've got to find a way to find another five. Um,
Nuts.
so
Maybe if you just
yeah,
loop Central Park like once or twice, would that be another five?
I would have to run Central Park like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I could,
No, no, I
but
feel like I'd rather run with like, with trees and stuff than with actual city.
yeah, yeah, and that's why people do like Central Park. But when you're running 22 miles, you've got a lot of freedom to
Yeah,
go wherever you want.
yeah.
So that's the
Dude,
big thing
that's
I've got this
that's
weekend.
legit. So that's tomorrow?
Yeah,
Cool. Good luck, sir. Do you run with music in or podcast in, or do you run nothing, or what do you do?
podcasts, and it's been really nice. Like most podcasts are like 30 to 40 minutes, so that's about my barometer of how far and how long I've been running. Um, because I kind of just check out and like after like once you get to that runner's high and like I don't know, for me it usually takes 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes running before I kind of like zone out. Um, and I'm just listening to these podcasts. Uh, so yeah, I've been queuing like 4 or 5 and listening, and they're great.
Cool. Cool.
Hmm.
Good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, how do you recover from a 22-mile run? Are you putting your feet up? Do you maybe do
I'll
a
probably
little
do a
cold plunge?
little quick spin on the bike, 5 or 10 minutes, stretch. Uh, 2 weeks ago, I took an Epsom salt bath after I ran my long run.
Mm,
Um, get a lot of protein. Yeah, from I think obviously stay hydrated. I've been running with like water and stuff and goos, which helps a ton. So I'm not like super gassed after. Um, just is what it is.
yeah. All right. Sweet. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you got?
sounds like a fun weekend. Um,
Yeah, for
tonight,
all you listeners out there, donate to my fundraiser.
yeah. Help put out fires in New York.
Help put out fires in New York. But
Um,
seriously, fire department in New York, raising money
yeah,
for
no,
them.
that's legit. That's legit.
Yeah.
Um, you should get one of the hats, the Yankee hats with the FDNY.
Oh, good idea. Good idea.
Yeah, that'd be a cool hat, especially because you're donating and whatnot. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
Cool.
um, what do I got this weekend? Today's a good day. Got 3 client appointments lined up for tonight, so that's going to be really, really good. Um, I think champions separate themselves on Friday and Saturday nights when a lot of people kind of, go home and they have everything else that they're doing. That's when I seem to work my hardest is like when everyone else isn't. So I've really dialed in on Friday and Saturday nights. So tomorrow's going to be in the office, 8 a.m. to probably 6 or 7. Kayla's last day of work is tomorrow, so I don't know. We might go out for dinner. We booked one of the nicest restaurants in San Diego. I don't know if it's a Michelin star restaurant or what, but it's one of the nicest restaurants in San Diego, overlooking the skyline and the bay. It's like a steakhouse, and we booked that for the following weekend to celebrate her retiring and us doing well in business. So we're really excited for that, and we're it's like an unemployment party, you know what I mean? So she's gonna be unemployed, so we're really excited for that.
That is funny.
Yeah, so that'll be next weekend. But yeah, typical weekend here, working and then church Sunday. And on Sundays my house and I we've been doing sauna and cold plunge. So we have a sauna that's really close to the house. So we'll do sauna and then we'll run back and we have a cold plunge in our backyard. So we'll do a cold plunge and that's been a really good weekend kind of tradition.
Cool. Cool. Sauna and cold plunge.
It's great. It feels like you're doing drugs because it's like your body's super hot and then it gets super cold and like the blood, like the way it rushes to your head and whatnot, it's crazy. It's like
Yeah.
it's like really weird. I don't know if it's good for you or what, but it's like I'm like, whoa. Every time I get in.
I feel pretty lightheaded.
Yeah, no, I do every time. Um, it's kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. But
Good.
anyway, all right, Matt, close this out.
Close us out. Uh, yeah. Go out and live life to the full. You only get one.
There we go.